You're listening to the VTZone.com's weekly Scoutcast. Everything Hokies. And now here's publisher Jason Stammand.
Welcome to another edition of the VTZone.com's weekly Scoutcast. I am publisher Jason Stammand, joined by my cohort, partner in crime here, Doug Bowman. Doug, how is everything how's everything going over there in Rich Vegas?
It's going well. Just on the grind, just missing our guy this week.
I know. Well, you kind of it's a good segue there. You brought up we're actually without Derek Skip Hopkins. He had some other business to attend to, it sounds like, this week. Hopefully we'll get him back on the podcast next week. I was going to have him recap how his camp went, but Skip had to end up canceling his first round of camps because of inclement weather. So I know you're bummed. I know you were going to be out there apparently teaching everybody the swim move, even though Skip says it's the wrong thing to do, right?
Right. I mean, you got to have some different opinions out there. Give them the full 360 degrees of defensive line knowledge that I possess. So
I was about to say, because you're so knowledgeable when it comes to the defensive line and all. So
I could
swim move.
I could recruit some defensive ends back in the days of NCAA football. So.
Oh, okay. So you did, what was it, the coach mode, or was it legacy mode, or
whatever it's
Dynasty?
called? But I was darn good at it. So.
Okay. Because I always like the Heisman mode, but the Heisman mode you don't actually recruit anybody; you are the recruit. So it's like you got to do training, and I don't know.
No. I was the recruiter.
You were the recruiter. Yeah.
D&U basically.
Well, we'll have to get back on here next week to talk about what he's got. I know he's got more camps coming, so we'll have to get the 411 on all his camp stuff. But busy time of year right now, even though it's not really busy, if that makes any sense. Now, the Virginia Tech's coaching staff, at least on the football side, they're all out of town right now. They're all on vacation, or at least most of them are out of town right now on vacation. But it's not really a whole lot going on, kind of a dead period somewhat. As far as recruiting goes, so this is the time of year they've kind of allotted to, go out and do some stuff. But I guess on the football side, we do have a few guys who are leaving Virginia Tech. The first one, Carson Lydon, and to me that's a pretty big loss. I mean, this is a guy who looked like he was probably going to be, probably the backup at Mike this year behind Andrew Matupuaka. He's now going to be leaving the team. First of all, Doug, what does that mean to have Carson Lydon leaving? Is it a surprise? I mean, what's kind of your initial thought on him not being a Hokie now?
I think it's just it's a huge loss, not just for this year's team, but going forward into the next year or two. I mean, going into even this fall, you're looking at Andrew Matupuaka, who obviously had his struggles last year, and you're hoping Lydon's going to push him, or maybe. Maybe Matupuaka develops and, becomes that kind of bona fide starter. And that's kind of the best case scenario now, is that, Matupuaka has to be that guy going into this year. And, Huell's camp is, he's the walk-on, and, he plays hard, but you're going to have those limitations. And you wanted to have Matupuaka be pushed going into this year and throughout this year. Just in case he doesn't develop like some people, I think, hope. And then, so the best case is that, Matupuaka develops and he plays really well here in the next 2 years or whatever. But, where it hurts is now there's that gap year of, where you could go from Matupuaka when eventually he graduates, or Lydon needs to take over. Now there's, now you're hoping that maybe one of the freshmen that came in this year, or you're recruiting a true freshman to come in next year, is ready to step in right away. And I think that's kind of where you fall behind, is where you miss on the recruits, or you have early attrition, and now all of a sudden you have no depth and nobody ready to take over.
I think depth is probably the biggest thing, Doug. I mean,
this year.
Yeah, this year you got Sean Huell's camp, and who's behind him? I don't know if you
walk-ons and true freshmen.
Yeah, you have a true freshman who's going to have to be the third guy back now. So if anything happens to Huell's camp or Matupuaka, either one, I mean, they are. I don't know if I want to say they're big time in trouble, but that's concerning, I think, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting into the situation where you don't have the depth to to survive an injury or ineffective play. You don't have somebody you can count on. I think people were expecting Leiden to kind of make that jump from their freshman to sophomore year. So, you don't have that depth for this year, and then going into future years, you don't have that ready-made replacement ready to go.
Well, all I can say is I hope that Huell's camp continues to develop. I know he's had some good moments. He showed some good things in some of the open practices and spring game. So he better develop for sure. Recruiting-wise, they've already got Rashard Ashby lined up in 2017. I know they were already wanting to take 2. I think they got to probably take 3 now, including Ashby, to kind of help make up for this space with Carson Leiden leaving. So how vital is it now that they make up some ground recruiting-wise? Maybe they lock in Ellis Brooks and Andrew Ward, Dorian Etheridge, Sherrod Green. I mean, how vital is it now they get at least 1 or 2 of those guys?
Oh, it's so important. I mean, recruiting is such a crapshoot, so you don't know for sure how a guy's going to pan out. So you better get a couple. And now you're, like we were talking about, you're looking at a situation down the road where you're going to have a young guy and you're going to be counting on him to play. So, they're going to have some playing time. You can show these recruits the future depth chart and say, that's your spot right there, number 1 Mike in 2 years or something. But, at the same time, you're counting on a young guy, and that's tough in college football to, send an 18 or a 19-year-old out there, but against a bunch of 22-year-olds. So it's putting them in a tough spot. But, I think getting 3, 4, I don't know, they have to hit on at least a couple guys this year just so they can get that depth back and be ready to go whenever they need to replace Madua Puaka, I guess.
Yeah, so and I'll also, in addition to Carson Leiden leaving now, and it's definitely out there now that Desmond Fry is headed to Toledo. I think we already kind of knew this a little bit, that he was going to be leaving, but this was one of those I actually was told about last week. Spoke to a couple of sources at Toledo. I actually saw him at a camp at the Sound Mind Sound Body camp that told me that he was coming, kind of sworn to secrecy. But now that it's out there, he's headed to Toledo. Again, I guess what does that mean with Desmond Fry now heading up there?
Yeah, I don't think it pales in comparison to what Leiden means. I don't think he was going to be counted on as much in the secondary as a guy like Leiden either this year or obviously going forward. So, obviously you'd like to have that depth, and Fry's played quite a good bit here over the last couple of years. So, for injuries and whatnot, but I don't think he's going to be pushing anybody for a role or starting or anything like that. So, it's a good move for him to try and go up there and get some playing time late in his career. But for this team and, going forward in future years, I don't think it's that big a deal.
Yeah, and that's why I also want to mention Carson Leiden first. I think he definitely creates more of a hole. But, interested to see, either way, kind of how they rebuild. And you're always going to have losses, but they've got to keep that depth intact and make sure you've got nothing. Yeah, obviously, like you said, Doug, I think they're a little more equipped to handle one of these kind of losses in the secondary. But Desmond Fry started a few times, or you got quite a bit of playing time last year.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the good thing about the secondary is that you can go out and you can recruit 5 or 6 guys, and you can play 1 or 2 true freshmen to fill a role. I think that's a lot more difficult when you're playing Mike linebacker and trying to run a defense and fight off blocks and stuff as an 18-year-old. I think it's a lot different when you can play corner or nickel or something like that.
So obviously the other news just came out. I guess really this morning or here on Wednesday morning. Everybody, you guys will be listening to this on Friday, but it came out this week. Houshun Gaines and Adonis Alexander, of course, we knew, had their charges of marijuana possession right after the spring game back in April, and so they were kind of really kind of in limbo. They were hoping to get reinstated. Obviously, had to wait to see what happened legally to see what was going to happen, but they've now been given both 12 months probation and 24 hours of community service. So I guess, Doug, first off, what do you think about the? And now we have finally know what's going to be happening with them legally. Do they both get reinstated?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure. I think it's against the law, yeah, but this seems like a pretty much textbook marijuana citation charge sequence here. You're going to get, suspended indefinitely, then the courts are going to do what the courts are going to do, and they're going to, I expect them to get a suspension reinstated, but I think they'll be practicing in August and all the way up. I think they'll probably get suspended for the Liberty game and then, be back at it for Tennessee. I think it was pretty much what everybody expected.
Well, and I'm not sure if they're even going to get suspended a whole game. I mean, I can honestly see this being one of those things. If they do what they're supposed to do, they complete that community service, they, check in, they pass their drug test. I don't know if they're going to, maybe they get a half. I mean, this may be one of those where they get little to no, penalty past what's already been done to both of them. So, yeah, I think the timing of this, it's June. I mean, they're going to have time to get, I'm sure they'll have to run some more stadium stairs and do a few more things before the season, before fall camp even starts, even from the strength team. I think they're probably going to be pushed a little more. It'll be interesting to see how much more, if anything else, goes into it past that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not excited to see Ben Hilgert in the morning right now at all. But, I mean, I'm sure, as like you were talking about, as long as they kind of be model citizens and take care of what they need to take care of and, stay clean, I think, I think, we got 2 months to go?
Yeah.
So you got another month off season conditioning, and then he goes back to Fuente for August. I think that'll be a pretty miserable 2 months, and they'll be ready to get out of the doghouse.
I mean, I don't want to belittle it at all, Doug, but I think we talked about it after this happened. Like, this is something that in a few states now is legal, and nothing would happen. So I think it just because there's so much else it could have been. It's not a severe punish or a severe crime here, so I don't think it's going to be anything major.
I mean, traditionally this is like that old suspended for a violation of team rules, and they're back
pretty much
within a game, one game. Maybe Fuente wants to kind of make a statement as a new coach or whatever, but I think he can make a statement through making it really, really, really not fun for them over the next 2 months. So.
Well, and I'm thinking perception-wise, I mean, I think they probably have to do something. It honestly maybe come down to that. Even just perception-wise, they have to suspend him for a half. Just to say, hey, because not everybody gets to see what goes on behind the scenes, and how I'm sure the extra work and everything they're going to have to do, like I said, stadium steps and workouts, and like you said, everything with the strength coaches to get in. So, I think at most a game, at minimum a half.
Yeah, for sure. I just don't see it, affecting going into that Tennessee game.
Yeah, I really don't either. I mean, I think they're both. You'll see them both on the field, and obviously, I don't get Gaines probably wasn't going to start. Adonis Alexander, I guess, is probably going to be a starter. So.
Yeah, but I mean, the big thing Alexander's obviously big with him being a starter, but the big thing with Gaines is just the lack of depth at defensive end, the fact that, he can probably get 4 weeks in August of development. That's got to be big too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't expect them either one to miss really much time, if at all, heading into that Tennessee game. I think they'll both be fully ready to play for that game. So, a lot of stuff going on recruiting wise, Doug. I mean, that's about it for the football side, because again, nothing's really going on. Right now it's kind of a dead period. I mean, I know all the players come back next week. They'll actually report back on campus. They all get there on July 5th, including the incoming freshmen. They'll all be reporting. I don't think any of them are coming later than that. There may be one or two that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but most of everybody will be back for that final summer session. They'll go through workouts. They do all that stuff. So recruiting's kind of what's really taking focus right now. And Devin Hunter, to me, is probably the biggest story right now in the last week. He's put out a top 11. Virginia Tech is in that top 11. I'm not going to go through the entire top 11, but they're in it. I know you've kept up at least a little bit, I'm sure, Doug, with kind of where he's been looking. I still think Tennessee is probably the team to beat based on talking to him, his mom, his coach, everybody that's around him. I know Clemson has made a lot of ground. A lot of people think Virginia Tech may be the team to beat, but I don't know. Where do you feel like, I guess, things stand with him right now, and what do you think about his top 11 coming out?
Yeah, I mean it's his top 11, so obviously a long way to go. I don't think a commitment's coming anytime soon based on somebody releasing a top 11, unless he's going to put 11 hats on the table.
I don't understand 11 too. That's kind of an odd number. Why do you do 11?
We could do 10 or something even. No, but yeah, I think I think Virginia Tech's definitely probably in that whatever top group he has. That obviously he's not letting anybody know what the top 3 or 4 is. But I think Virginia Tech's definitely on them, and I expect it to stretch into through the season. I think that makes being successful for Virginia Tech just supremely important for not only Hunter but all the other top guys. I think winning is probably the biggest thing that's going to change how they've been doing with the top guys. We've talked a lot over the last 2 years about all the top guys in Virginia that they're missing, but I think if you go 9-3, 10-2, I think that changes a lot of the perceptions. So.
Yeah, it totally does, and we'll get. I know we'll get into more of our predictions and stuff kind of later on as we get closer to the season. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of that's gonna depend on how where they are down the line recruiting wise, how well they do this year. I think Justin Fuente's got to get off at least a good start. Maybe even if he doesn't show it wins wise, he has to show on the field obviously what they're going to do differently and give some hope to some of these guys that things are going to change and there's a reason why they should go to Virginia Tech. So. But yeah, top 11. To me it makes it sound like somebody. There's at least a few schools that maybe he doesn't want to put in there that aren't really in contention, but it's almost like he feels obligated to put them in there. So I don't know who that is, but I got to think right now Virginia Tech, Clemson, Tennessee, probably the 3 leading schools for him.
Like I was saying, if Virginia Tech goes 7-5. And Tennessee has the year that everybody's expecting them to have. I think it's very hard to see Virginia Tech getting him in that situation.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, they got to do some work. They got to, give him reason to want to join Virginia Tech and stay in state because he's got a lot of options right now. So, Virginia Tech also made the top list for Derek Pitts. That came out last week. They're in a top 10 for him, 4-star safety from Charleston. And then the other news, and we can kind of hit both these at the same time, but Jordan Williams, another in-state guy, another guy from 757. He was at the Virginia Tech's Virginia Beach satellite camp a couple weeks ago. I talked to him there, got a little bit of an update. Another one of those guys, I feel like Tennessee is definitely the one that's kind of leading for him. I think I said Tennessee was leading for Devin Hunter. I think Clemson's leading for Devin Hunter. I think Tennessee's probably leading for Jordan Williams. But he has moved up his decision date. So he's now looking at August 6th, not September 24th. Yeah, how much can we read into that he's moved up his decision date?
I guess it probably means he's settled on 1 or 2, and he's just going to take his time. I know, wasn't there talk about him visiting one more time, at least to Virginia Tech?
Yeah, I think right now he's planning on going to Virginia Tech July 23rd for the cookout. They're having a cookout and having a lot of guys in. I think that's probably the next time.
Yeah, so
him to be
Yeah,
there.
so he's going through his top list one last time, and maybe he's already made his decision. He's just kind of making sure, but he's another big prospect, another defensive lineman that Virginia Tech's got to close on, and we'll see. I don't know if I believe that August 6th will be the end of his recruitment, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if it will be either. I think he and Devin Hunter may both. Yeah, I know Devin probably will wait until signing day, but I think Jordan may obviously keep looking around or keep at least listening to others. So again, I think with Jordan Williams, I think Tennessee is the one to beat, and with Devin Hunter, Clemson is probably the one to beat there. I think I want to clear that up because I think I was kind of mixing them up when we were talking a few minutes ago. But anyway, and then just kind of put a wrap on things. The Sound Mind, Sound Body Camp was last week up in Maryland. I was up there for a couple days to talk to quite a few guys. Deion Jones are still in with, but Mekhi Becton, I want to get Skip to tell us more about Mekhi Becton. He's a Springer, so I know Skip has seen quite a bit of Mekhi. He looked every bit of 4 stars up there. I mean, that kid, Doug, it was just really impressive. I posted a couple of his one-on-ones. I think one of them he got beat. I think I posted 3 videos, just short videos on Twitter with him going one-on-one. But he won. I mean, if you look at the first 2, that's pretty much how he looked against everybody. He was just, I mean, it wasn't even close. He was really far and away the best offensive lineman there. May have been the best overall player there. But, another one of those guys, I don't know, Doug, how important is it that they keep a guy like Mekhi Becton in state?
I mean, offensive lineman from Highland Springs. I mean, that's a Virginia Tech hotbed for a long time. So, and you're talking about a guy, big offensive lineman. Just you look at him and you see the potential for him to be a great left tackle. So, I mean, that's a position Virginia Tech struggled to recruit for the last several years, and now you get one handmade at one of the traditional high schools that sends kids to Virginia Tech. So I think that's a big recruitment to follow going forward. We talk a lot about the defensive line misses, but I think it's also been kind of the same case on the offensive line. So, I think that situation and at that position, I think it's huge for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and again, that's a kid that I know he's more of an offensive lineman, but I know Skip has been around quite a bit. That he's worked out with and kind of seen him, advance and kind of come along over the time that Skip's been kind of working with Highland Springs, volunteering and stuff there. And it was kind of cool to see Mekhi. He was wearing his big championship ring that Skip was showing off to everybody on Twitter and Facebook a couple weeks ago.
So we'll have to talk to Skip about him next week.
So, I mean, I was kind of making fun of him a little bit, but if I had a big championship ring, I think it's huge, man. Like the one Mekhi had, it looks even bigger in person than what it looked like on Skip's hand when he was modeling it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd wear it all the time, too.
Yeah.
I don't have one, but I would wear it.
Right, yeah. I can only imagine how it would probably at least be a conversation starter, if nothing else, if you're trying to...
Yeah, I'm sure it won't look nearly as big on me as it does on 6'7", 320 or whatever he is.
Oh, Mekhi is huge, man. He's every bit of 6'7". Like, he and Skip, I would, it'd be a little, I don't know if they would do it, but I would love to see those guys go one-on-one. That would be a great battle to see Skip and Mekhi.
I feel great conversation happening next week with Skip.
All right. Well,
Let's save it.
Yeah, we're building it up. We're already building up the anticipation of Skip's return next week.
Yep.
All right, so I guess to close this out here, Doug, you got a shout-out?
Shoot. Shout-out to 4th of July. Really excited. Great holiday coming up.
You got any big plans?
I'm going to the beach, so that's the big. So just
Which
hope
one?
that Atlantic Beach, North Carolina.
Ooh, okay.
So pretty pumped. But
well, I got to stick my feet in the water in Norfolk when I was down there for the camp. And that's about the most I'm gonna get to a beach this year with everything going on. So I'm definitely envious if you're gonna make it to a beach.
yeah, and I took a day off work, so I get
man.
the extra day at the beach. So yeah.
Man, you're getting all this sun time, man. You had the cruise. You're going back to the beach.
The life I live.
Of course. I got to give my shout-out, too. I don't know if everybody doesn't know it. I'm a hilltopper from Western Kentucky, so...
Oh, boy.
Anybody that was looking at anything this week, hey, this doesn't happen, man. They've had some big-time recruits, but they landed a 5-star commitment this week from Mitchell Robinson, so...
how big is the... How big is the Western Kentucky compliance department?
Well, we'll wait and see if anything comes out. I'm going to say until I have reason to believe otherwise, it was legit.
Hey, they haven't done anything Ole Miss hasn't done.
Well, I haven't done anything that anybody hasn't done. Like, they hired his godfather, but, there's other places that have done the same thing. So he didn't have to go there still.
That's true.
I'm just saying, 5 stars, don't rain on my parade, Doug. This is big time, man. This is like going to resurrect Western Kentucky basketball, I hope. They had a down year the last couple of years. Had some scandals going on in the offseason, so...
I know our loyal listener Whit Babcock's listening to this, so I think we need to propose the home and home with Western Kentucky.
Oh, I'd love to see
little Hilltoppers in Blacksburg in 2017, return visit 2018.
I would absolutely love to see that. Western Kentucky is. I hope this gets him back up. I still think Stansbury was a good get for him. And, he's been questioned, I'm sure, a few times for his recruiting. Maybe not antics, but, his style, maybe. I don't know. But, hey, he landed a 5-star commit. So until I hear something otherwise that shows, if something was done wrong, I'm going to go with
excitement.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm at a loss for words because I never thought they'd get a 5-star commit in anything. So pretty exciting stuff as a Hilltopper.
Hey, maybe you guys can go back and be a 12 seed one more time.
Hey, they've done pretty well as a 12 seed. They won 3 games in the last, what's it been, 7-8 years as a 12 seed. So
the legendary Courtney Lee.
Yep, that's my dude, man. Courtney Lee, and had Jeremy Evans on those teams. So and a few good teams there. I'm hoping maybe they can get back to it. But on the Virginia Tech side, we got lots of stuff coming still this week. I know Max is still, our guy Max Esterhazen's got some updates coming on some current Virginia Tech players. He's been digging around, getting some info on kind of what's going on, some summer plans, a few of that stuff going on. So that's coming this week. Of course, we've got insiders left and right when they come in. We'll be confirming more guys for, there's more camps coming up. There's the cookout that we mentioned. So lots of stuff still coming on kind of what's going on with Virginia Tech sports. For Doug Bowman, I am Jason Stammand. Thank you for listening to another edition of the Scoutcast, and we'll see you guys back here next week.
Woo!